Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about why we need to use literary devices when writing narrative and descriptive essays. Welcome to English Step by Step. I am Miss Wee. We are going to look at two essays. The first one is the literal version, so there are no literary devices. The House on the Hill.
The house stood on a hill, surrounded by trees. It was old and empty. The roof had holes, and the walls were cracked. The windows were broken, and the door hung on one hinge. There was a garden in front of the house, but it was overgrown. The grass was tall, and weeds covered the path. Inside, the house was dark and quiet. The wooden floor creaked underfoot. The air smelled damp. There was a table in the kitchen, but one leg was broken. The chairs were dusty, and cobwebs hung in the corners. Upstairs, the bedrooms were empty except for a bed frame in one of them. At night, the wind blew through the broken windows, making the curtains flutter. The house was cold and felt abandoned. Nobody came here anymore.
Now we're going to look at essay 2, which uses literary devices.
The house perched on the hill like a forgotten guardian, shrouded by a sea of whispering trees. Time had etched its story on the crumbling walls, and the roof sagged under the weight of countless storms. The windows, jagged and empty, gazed at the world with hollow eyes while the door clung desperately to a single rusty hinge, groaning in the wind. Once a proud garden stretched before the house, but now it lay imprisoned by nature's wild embrace. Blades of grass reached skyward, defiant and unkempt, while unruly weeds snaked along the cracked path, reclaiming their territory. Inside, shadows danced on the walls, and the wooden floorboards sighed with every step, a lament for the days when laughter filled the air. The damp, earthy scent of decay clung to the air. In the kitchen, a table slumped to one side, its broken leg a casualty of time. Chairs stood like forgotten sentinels, cloaked in dust and draped with cobwebs spun by patient spiders. Upstairs, silence reigned supreme. The bedrooms were barren, save for a solitary bed frame, rusted and skeletal, crouching in a corner like a ghost of its former self. At night, the house came alive with the breath of the wind. It howled through shattered windows, tugging at the tattered curtains which flapped like wounded birds. The cold crept in, wrapping the house in a shroud of desolation. Once a home, now it stood as a relic of memories long abandoned.
So I'm sure you agree that this is a much better version. And let's break it down. And it's a much better version because it uses literary devices. So in red are the personifications, the house perched on the hill, the door clung desperately to a single rusty hinge, shadows danced on the walls, a table slumped to one side, etc. In blue, we have similes. The house perched on the hill like a forgotten guardian. So anything with like and as are similes. Chairs stood like forgotten sentinels. The bed frame is like a ghost of its former self. The curtains flapped like wounded birds. So these are all similes in blue. And in green, we have imagery. Time etched its story on the crumbling walls, and the roof sagged under the weight of countless storms. Blades of grass reached skyward, defiant and unkempt. Okay, and we have metaphor in purple. Once a proud garden stretched before the house and wrapping the house in a shroud of desolation. Symbolism, shrouded. So this is a symbol of death. For onomatopoeia, we have groaning in the wind, and we have a hyperbole here. It lay imprisoned by nature's wild embrace. So this is the list of literary devices used. I hope you have noticed that there are literary devices in every sentence, sometimes 2 or 3 devices in each sentence. I have 2 videos on the different literary devices. I will put a link up here and also in the description box below. Now let's look at the sensory details. In red, we have the sense of sight, the house perched on the hill, blades of grass reached skyward. The sense of hearing or sound, groaning in the wind, sight with every step, laughter filled the air, howled through shattered windows. The sense of touch, we have crumbling, jagged, damp, these are all textures, rusted, and then the cold crept in. We also have the sense of smell, especially this one, scent of decay and breath of the wind. I have a video on how to use your 5 senses. I will put a link up here and also in the description box below. The last thing I'm going to look at is showing and not telling. So I'm just going to take 2 examples. Time had etched its story on the crumbling walls and the roof sagged under the weight of countless storms. So this is showing. Telling would be the house was old and abandoned, which is a bit boring. Another example, the tattered curtains flapped like wounded birds. This is showing. And telling would be the wind blew through the broken windows, which again is boring. So try to show and not tell. Again, I have a video on that. I'll put a link up here and in the description box below. I have a lot more videos. Please go ahead and watch them. If you have questions, leave them in the description box below. And if you need tutoring, you can write to me here. Thank you. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.